their numbers on a daily basis. For 3.5 years now, Ukraine and Russia had been at war. But the number of people that have died in Nigeria, I can barely say that if we want to be sincere and statistically true to ourselves, we have had more people die in Nigeria than they have died in a turned war country.
Really?
Now it makes you understand that even neighbors consider the life. The Nigerian system had made human life little to cost little or nothing. In that, whether you accept it or yes, the people that died in that scenario, they didn't come from Kafan, they didn't come from what was it called, from other African countries or even possibly other states. There are people that are resident in these states, and in Niger State, there where they are resident, where this incident occurred, there's a likelihood of some of these persons scooping this fear to be persons who had lost loved ones, expectedly. But because the Nigerian system had little or no regards for human life, it is now cascading to the mindset of the average Nigerian. Hence, how do you really juxtapose all of this? Is it that we do not know the what's it called, the arms or the hills that are possibly going to possibly arise from what's it called, a spillage that might result, like you rightly opined, fire incident or possibly whatever. Now another thing that bothered my mind when the NSCDC people came and said they had to chase them away, that's to say they could not be spoken to reason. They had to force them out of there. Still, you're trying to save a person, but you're going to save the person by force. And how do you really save the person by force, knowing fully well that these security personnel or agencies will be wielding guns and all in an environment so volatile? So for me, it is a pathetic situation for a serious-minded people, which they ought to be, to sit down now and begin to ask the needed questions so that whatever could be done rightly be done and put in place.
All right, Comrade Chuba, do you think, as regards, because we've seen several, incidents such as this happens, and then talking about the Nigerian system, do you think there have been some sort of influence? What might be the motivation behind the people going to scoop fuel, considering the fact that we've had recent incidents happening? I mean, that should serve as a deterrent to other people. Probably when we have such an incident like this, one who wants to, caution itself not to go there, considering the hazard, that awaits such events. So, I mean, do you think there are some influences, talking about the Nigerian system, that might push these people into, because we've had series of reports from Nigerians, most of them were saying that it's due to the hiking fuel prices. So many of them will go there since they've gotten, it's a free fuel, so they'll go there, scoop the fuel, and probably sell them via black market and the rest of it. Do you think that the Nigerian system is really helping matters as regards to this situation now?
You see, one of the most prominent of these fire outbreaks, and I think the most elaborate in our nation's history, I stand to be corrected, I think is the Jesse fire outbreak in 1999 in a community called Jesse in Delta State. Where over 2,000 persons had to lose their life almost instantly with the fire engulfing. Now, from there, Nigerians had been aware, supposedly aware of the what's it called, the dangers associated with these outbreaks.
Yeah.
But like you rightly asked, what is going to be the motivation to still toe this line? If we want to be realistic and true, an average Nigerian does not know where the next meal is coming from. There are no jobs. The economy is so difficult. The cost of living is so high. Prices of goods are so high. Then a man that stays in a house, and with the crime we're looking at, people that have access to 3-4 women and maybe have 12 to 15 kids, not knowing where their next meals will come from, and you see a fuel tank that falls on the ground, and it is not even barricaded by government. It is open it's a free fall for all. At the end of it, what do you really expect such people to do? They have little or nothing they can do other than going to scoop the fuel, because like the funny axiom would say, we stay here, we die. We go there, we die. So death is death. But if we go there, we don't know what awaits us there. Let's go there, because here, what we know is just a question of time. Death is going to arrive. The truth is, hunger is in the country at a very alarming level that it was an unprecedented level of hunger that we experience today. having established that, I must tell you that government is not really doing anything tangibly enough today to allay the fears of these people. Now, because of this, the people just take laws into their hands, in that this is how we could survive. It is an opportunity for us to earn a living or make a life for today. Hence, do you know the level of risk? The slightest spark and all those people will be history. You understand? They'll be roasted. But the truth is, they just equally want to hold on to faith. We are a religious nation, a faith-filled people. So what is it is not going to happen today. The death is not going to come today. That mindset is what has led people, or what has led these ones to go back there to start scooping fear. Because hunger is real. You do not have the legal tender, which is money to purchase goods and services. And if you sell this fear that comes freely, a liter is how much? If you are able to get 225 liters, that's 50 liters, and at 1,000 naira is what? 50k. By that time, you think you can start planning your life. That's the kind of mindset the average Nigerian already has. And government has to do something, because running on this trajectory, most embarrassing news and information like this will be spinning out from government, and other people are watching, international communities are watching. And for me, these are not the best times, they are not the best of signals. And I think the government at all levels must sit up and do something differently.
All right, Comrade Chuba, let's also take a look at this, the tanker owners. I mean, there are concerns that these tankers owners are not putting things in place. They are not checkmating the tanker before, plying the boat with them, before making supplies. Do you think these tanker owners are also to be blamed as regards to this incident? Let me put it that way, that's been happening.
Listen, the tanker owners will obviously have their own share of the blame. But you ask yourself, who are the tanker owners? A tanker is not 5 million naira. It's not for poor persons. A tanker is supposedly owned by so-called influential, well-to-do Nigerians. And if that is true, it's expected that the tanker owners should be able to maintain the tanks in a place where the system works. Now, what do you really see on the highways? When you travel, you just see security agencies stretch their hands to collect money from tanker drivers. That's all that matters. Who really inspects these tanks to say that they are roadworthy and all of it? We know that there are agencies that will come out here and speak very good English and defend whatever salaries that they are being paid. But what is the reality to the average Nigerian on ground? That is the question. And the reality for me is the fact that the tankers, many of them, are not at their best performances before they put them on the highways. But the truth is, because we are in a government where it's a party government, and the people who owns these properties are equally powers that be, who now start scrutinizing who, and that's for me the role of the tanker owners in respect to government incursion to the.
All right, I'd also like to get your perspective as regards to the agencies, most especially the Federal Road Safety Corps. Would you say they are measuring up to their tasks, to the duties as regards to these incidents? Because, yeah, it's the duty, just like you said, to checkmate vehicles flying the road to see if they're in good conditions, right? So probably, would you say they're measuring up to their tasks as regards to this?
In fairness to you, I would say very, very categorically that for me, from my own viewpoint, as a people-oriented person, I would say they are not. But if I've been saying they are not, I can look at the Nigerian system and you ask yourself, when you plow the road, what do you see? You see the federal agencies stop a vehicle and the vehicle tells the person owner just wind down and ask you, do you know who I am? These are careless statements that are not supposed to even be heard in the first place. This young man or young lady over there is supposedly doing a job, but at the end of the day, they're intimidated because they know that if you so go forward to want to know that person, and you now finally know the person, it might cost you your job. And on that strength, people just let it slide. However, when people even respect them enough to wind down and want to listen to them, you begin to hear sarcastic things like do something for us and not do something for us, whereas it is their job that they're being paid for, that have automatically begun to become a pressure or stress to the road users. So for me, I would, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give them 3. I would say they're not doing enough. They need to up their game, and I think there should be better laws to guide them and help them do their jobs properly.
All right, then let's move on to the next story for today. I will take a look at the FCT Doctors Association of Resident Doctors The Federal Capital Territory Administration on Wednesday began a 3-day warning strike over unpaid salaries, allowances, and other demands. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, the president of ARD-FCTA, Dr. George Abong, said the strike followed the expiration of the 3-week ultimatum issued last year. Recall that the association issued a 21-day ultimatum to the FCTA minister, Nyesom Wike, on December 23, 2024, to meet its demand. Speaking on behalf of doctors in the territory, Dr. Ebong condemned the neglect of hospitals and doctors' welfare in the nation's capital. He stressed that doctors in Abuja had become abandoned projects and called on the Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, to innovate to prevent an indefinite shutdown of hospitals. According to him, the decision to embark on the 3-day warning strike was as a result of a Congress meeting held by its members on Tuesday. The 3-day strike is being implemented across all government hospitals in Abuja, including Wuse, Asokoro, Maitama, Kubwa, Zuba, Kwali, Abaji, Inyanya, and all other hospitals in Abuja. We gave the government an ultimatum to meet our demands, and after that, we met with them and held several dialogues. They pleaded for 2 weeks, but after that elapsed, nothing has been done, not even the minimum fee. We expected them to pay the 6 months of unpaid arrears to doctors. Since 2021, there has been an increase in our hazard allowance, an increase approved due to the high risks we face daily. From COVID-19 to Lassa fever, we work on the front lines, often at great personal risks. Yet, here in the FCT, we are still owed 13 months of arrears, he emphasized. Well, Comrade Chuba, I mean, this is quite unfortunate that it's really happening as the FCT doctors are embarking on a 3-day strike over unpaid salaries. And like they mentioned here, they've already given the, ultimatum to the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, on the 23rd of December 2024 to meet. We'd now like to get your thoughts as regards to that.
People believe that when we are in public space like this, we should be politically correct. And in the present day media system, everything possibly scrutinized under the guise of what is ethically right. But the truth cannot be overemphasized. Ask yourself, but the doctors giving a live these luxurious lives use these government hospitals? No, they don't. And even if they must use an hospital that the government doctor works with, they must use the private hospital where the government doctor comes as comes as what's it called, as an expatriate, comes to work and he goes. They don't use these hospitals, because if they use these hospitals, let me tell you, there was a bill that was passed, there was a bill that was supposedly supposed to be passed, I think, in the 7th Assembly by one honorable member from Esan in Edo State. He can find out that that bill was shut down. What was that bill really targeting? That bill was demanding accountability from public officers. That is a bill that should have checkmated the educational and health tourism of public office holders. A country where doctors are fleeing the country in their droves, we allow doctors to be going through all of this, and at the end of the day we say they are not patriots. How patriotic do you want them to be when you guys live in the comfort of your own cocoons and you are doing all you are doing at the expense of everybody? Do you know what these people spend in a sitting, just coming all out, sit down at the comfort of their homes, and they dole out money as though it was nothing? At the end of the day, we are talking about areas meant for professionals as doctors in the Federal Capital Territory. Come on, after a 21 days warning ultimatum, now you're coming up to say you answered. Let's
regards to these events now happening, do you think this in some way might have influence as regards to the presidency, the administration we're in right now? Do you think this is going to affect in some way the political aspirations of the current system we are in now?
Your question is not really too clear, but if I'm understanding you well, is this
exactly my point?
What's
not
it
even
called?
the 2027. I mean the administration of the current presidency.
In fairness to you, I don't really get your point, because the truth is, if people died from a tanker explosion and did not affect the government, people are dying from banditry. We are seeing where bandits are coming to collect taxes. These are more serious and more germane issues that should come.
Render their services to their nations.
In fairness to you, and if I must throw the question back to your conscience, though you're a journalist, you do the questioning, but let me throw the question to the conscience of the listeners. Now, ask yourself, the president said he was going for a sick leave or a vacation, whatever. Did he consult the Nigerian doctors? Dr. Oluyinka, one Nigerian in Dallas, Texas, was able to what's it called, operate a lady while a tumor and how, so it's not possible. So for me, the government was just only trying to be clever with words, and they are seemingly unserious.
Okay, so then let's take a look at the National Assembly now. The bill, according to its explanatory memorandum, is geared towards enhancing service efficiency and motivation of officers and to address overstay of heads of courts. But most lawyers who spoke concerning this think otherwise. They do not agree that it will motivate officers and enhance efficiency. Rather, mandatory retirement age works effectively well, and she sees no needs of making it 5 years. I'd like to get your take on that.
You see, for me, whether the proposed extension or the proposed amendment by the lawmakers or the stance of the NBA, for me, does not hold water for the Nigerian people today.
Okay.
Now, as I rightly said, I'm speaking from the viewpoint of the people in the course of analyzing the headlines. The truth cannot be overemphasized. What is the benefit? The truth is what it is. The legal system in Nigeria is flawed, and a lot has to be done going forward. We cannot overemphasize this reality, and the legal system has to be rejigged one way or the other. Something has to be done. Where the president appoints the Chief Justice of the Federation and appeal court and all, that's to say, if a person is coming into office so I think the legal luminaries should go into their cocoons, think even deeper, work out a better idea, post bogus bills telling us about 5 years tenure that should be stipulated. Before you know it again, we'll come back to another argument of one tenure for president, one tenure for governor, 6 years or 7 years. And at the end of the day, I don't think that's what the Nigerian state wants.
According to the explanatory memorandum, they said, the National Assembly member said, this bill is geared towards enhancing service efficiency and motivation of officers and to address overstays of heads of court. And you're saying you do not see this as being worthy at this point in time, because we are not, if I get it correctly, we are not concerned about how long they stay in office, and probably we might have issues like these emerges in terms of the presidents, in terms of governors, in terms of other, let's say, local government chairmen. Is that what you mean?
Listen, very, very straightforward and true. You just hit the nail at the head. The truth is, this is not what the Nigerian state or the Nigerian people are clamoring for. What the Nigerian people want is, they want accountability. They want people who see Nigeria as their motherland or fatherland, as the case may be, who have a level of integrity to protect, so that when they say justice is not just served, it is supposed to be believed to have been served. You cannot come out to tell us that this is the judgment and at the system of this country. So if that is what into these offices, how they get to where they get to, you find out that almost all the political warlords in this country today have either their wives
Well, thanks for staying with us. You're watching Blowout on Atlantic Television Network, and joining us today on Blowout is Comrade Chuba Okpuzo. He's a public affairs analyst. Let's delve right into a story. So we take a look at power sector. Nigerian Labour Congress has called for the resignation of the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, over the repeated collapse of the national power grid. In a statement late on Tuesday night by the NLC President Joe Ajaero, the union expressed a deep concern over the worsening state of Nigeria's electricity sector, which it's described as being undermined by competent officials. The now embarrassing constant grid collapse would have been averted instead of the worrying statement by the minister that this will continue as if this has always been the norm. We believe that this is a clear admission
by the government. Having said that, you must ask yourself if the allegations as alleged, supposedly alleged by the NLC, it's true. 8 billion for sensitization of Nigerians on why they need to buy, just put any caption why they must pay electricity.
To teach Nigerians how to pay electricity bills
for 8 billion. And we're talking about a country of how many million of persons, yet we are talking about 4-point-something megawatts. Whereas South Africa, which is less than we are, is just to show you where our priorities lies. And when people say we think government, the people saddled the responsibility to manage government in Nigeria know little or nothing about governance, or they are just outrightly there to rip the country off of all our national patrimony, people will come up with all kind of excuses, all kind of analysis that do not hold water. How did this kind of bill pass through the National Assembly without scrutiny to say this is approved for 8 billion to be used to teach people? These people are swimming on a mogul's word for play. How do you do this? So at the end of the day, the job is not even important, because all they want to do is to own the country. That is what we see. The political class are neck bent on owning the country on every aspect. So whether we like it or yes, I think it is something we need to look at. If not for the feud between Dangote and group and then the Nigerian government, who would have known that supposedly the Nigerian government was lifting our products, taking it to Malta, where the stakeholders of this country have a stake, so that they can refine it and bring it back and sell to us. Also, upon that argument, that we begin to see some adjustments here and there. So the truth is, unless these people come out clean and start doing things completely differently, anything similar to what they have been done before, being done, for me, is just a feud. All
right, Comrade Chuba, do you see the call by this NLC, the call for resignation, Adelabu's resignations, as a remedy to, remedy this issue of grid collapse at this point in time?
First and foremost, to me, the NLC, they have their shortcomings, but however, what they are demanding is normally what is supposedly to be considered a political demand, what should be demanded for the people, as a voice of the people, so to speak. But is it the NLC that employed him? The people that employed him, are they okay with him? If they are okay with what he's doing, the Nigerian people, do they have a role to play in the entire system of things? The answer is a clear no. If the Nigerian people don't have a role to play in the entire system of things, I think that we're still going to depend on whatever God to decide anytime soon. Because for me, it is a far cry. Have people not cried before for the resignation of Madakari and all Uncle? Did they ever ask to resign? Once they are doing the bidding of whoever God gave them the job, I think they are good to go. That is the Nigerian demograph. And over again, this is just another fact, for me, another far cry that goes nowhere. It's embarrassingly and shameful that the national grid is collapsing again and again. But that notwithstanding, Adelabu was not employed by NLC nor Nigerians.
All right, so the reason why NLC are calling for Adelabu's resignation, according to them, they stated here clearly that it's a clear admission of incapacity. I mean, the issues of grid collapse is a clear admission of incapacity and failure by the ministry, and they are wondering why they would not do the honorable thing by resigning. So these are the reasons why they are calling. It's not as if they employed, Adelabu as the minister, right? So they are calling due to these issues of grid collapsing every now and then. They're calling for his resignation, and the reason is because of they're wondering, that it's due to incapacity.
Did the Nigerian state and the Nigerian people not call for a resignation of the INEC chairman when they felt that the INEC chairman had performed far below expectation? The Nigerian state and the Nigerian people not call for the resignation of Melakari when they felt that the NNPCL and all its leadership had performed far below expectation. Now we are calling for the resignation of Adelabu. If nothing happened then, I make bold to say that nothing will equally happen now. And even if anything happens now in its cause of resignation, does that really change the demographic? It's about the leadership. What does the people want? If the leaders of this country want us to have power supply, come on, for crying out loud, it's not rocket science. People around us are making it happen. Egypt is having power. Look at South Africa, they're having power. Look, if we're not talking about other climes, talking about Europe and maybe America, but looking at within us, people are making it work. So for the fact that the Nigerian state is not making it work,